Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, October 12, 2023. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. In light of the heat wave being experienced across the country, the parade commander of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force has asked for a time change for the National Independence Day parade from morning to evening. On radio yesterday, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said the parade commander, Benzel Samuel, communicated to him in a letter suggesting a time change for the parade from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
My basic reason is that because of the current sweltering temperatures, that he fears that more persons may well on the parade ground from 8 o'clock. You know, it may be more challenging, and he's suggesting this. Clearly, there are pros and there are cons. I'm always in favor of making changes if there is a reasonable basis, and what has been put forward sounds reasonable to me, but there are other things which you can put countervailing. There are some countries which do them in the evening. We do these parades in the evening. Some still continue in the morning. And other parts of the world, the same thing. In temperate countries, there's a tendency to do them in the morning. In tropical countries, a lot of them are done in the evening.
PM Gonsalves said while the government will make a decision on the matter, he is asking members of the public to share their views to change the time for the Independence Day parade from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Independence Day, October 27, 2023.
So, I'd like to hear person's views. I'm not sure where to fall on this. I'm weighing it in my mind, and we had a discussion yesterday at Cabinet, and I thought this morning I'll put it out. So within the next couple of days, if we can get people's views and so on. As I say, the basis is reasonable. But there's a reasonable basis also to keep it at 8. It doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. It's a question how we weigh these matters. Johnny P., I don't know if any things came in.
You just mentioned a little about the CELAC, but someone is asking about the working group formed by CELAC for members of.
This year's independence activities are being held under the theme, Our Resilience, Our Fortitude, Our People, Our Identity, Road to 45. And Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves and the new chairman of the SVG Reparations Commission, Adrian Odul, left the state yesterday for Colombia at the request of the Colombian Vice President, Francisca Marquez, to assist and advise on the setting up of a reparations commission in that country. At the Agal International Airport yesterday, PM Gonsalves said he and Odul will stay overnight in Caracas, Venezuela, before moving on to Colombia today, Thursday, October 12th.
They're going to launch a reparations commission, part and parcel of the advancement of persons of African descent in Colombia. As you know, she's the first black woman to have risen to such a high level in Colombia. She is the vice president. I don't think they had a woman vice president before, but certainly she's the first black woman. And she's a woman of real strength and character and quality. A pretty young woman too, and progressive woman. People expect a great deal of her, and she had requested a meeting with me at the United Nations, and I had that meeting with my team and her team, and they requested that because of the role that I've been playing in the reparation movement in the region and the hemisphere, they'd like me to be there. So naturally, Adrian Odul, who is the chair of our Reparations Commission, is appropriate to accompany me. And I'm looking forward very much to it because Colombia is an important nation in Latin America. 40 million people, one of the main countries on the South American continent. Of course, you have big countries like Brazil and Mexico, and of course, even Argentina. Argentina has a population larger than Colombia, but Colombia is up there. And we've seen this movement is spreading through Latin America and Central America.
The new chair of the SVG Reparations Commission, Adrian Udo, said that he is elated to be part of such an important mission to Colombia.
It's definitely a privilege, and I'm looking forward to the outcome of the launch of this commission. And as PM would have rightfully said, we do have a lot of work to do. Yes, we will. And especially with this leadership role that we're now seeing in Colombia, especially with such a youthful and vibrant vice. We're definitely looking forward to the work that we have in store.
The Prime Minister and the Chair of the Reparations Commission are expected back home tomorrow, Friday, October 13th. International Day of the Girl Child was observed on Wednesday, October 11, 2023, under the theme Digital Generation, Our Generation, with the aim of raising awareness and educating people about the rights of girls. The International Day of the Girl Child is celebrated every year on October 11th. On the Roundtable program on VC3, the panelists, which included a director of the Marian House, Jeannie Oliver, young leader Marika Batiste, Child Development Officer in the Ministry of National Mobilization, Camille McIntosh, and representative of UNICEF, Nicole Trudeau, spoke about the significance of observing the day.
As you said, this is in 2011, the United Nations allocated this day to be able to really honor and recognize the rights of girls, and to really look at their unique challenges. This year's focus is really to invest in girls' rights, to look at the leadership and their well-being. And so we can really kind of break down those three aspects today and really look at kind of what girls' rights are, how they can be better included in leadership, how we can really empower young girls to be leaders, and really to also look at their well-being.
It is not just, as the girls from the Guadeloupe Home for Girls says, it is the girl child. That means it doesn't matter if it's you, Teresa, because you are a girl. So we are here to focus on their leadership capabilities. We are here to focus on the rights of the girl child. And we are also here to ensure that they develop based on how we treat them.
We advocate for the rights of children because, of course, we are signatories to the Convention to the Rights of the Child, and we recognize the right of children, especially girls, to be protected from abuse, from violent situations. So that is what our work is basically surrounding at the Child Development Division.
Important because traditionally as girls we're extremely marginalized to what we can and cannot do, and we usually don't have our views and opinions valued as much. So as a young girl child, I think it's important that we have a day where we could talk about these issues.
The panelists also highlighted some of the issues confronting young girls here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
I have completed primary, secondary, tertiary education at the college. What's next? The capacity building in today's St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is not persons with their bachelors and their masters and their doctorate. What is our market demanding? Skills. And we have to ensure that the education that is provided for our children, for our girl children, look at what the market is demanding and accordingly lead them to those particular skills.
I would say part of that is also just looking at making sure that as you build infrastructure and you get girls involved, that there are equal representations. So whether it be in education, whether it be in employment, to really have a successful society, you want to make sure that women, who are 50% of the population, are really integrated into those decisions.
While we are trying to push girls into educating themselves and having knowledge, because knowledge is power, we also need them to be supported by their parents. So we also need to educate the parents of these girls. Let them know how important education is for their girl children.
I think we also need to focus on the way society views the girl child, because we know in society girls are traditionally more criticized than our male counterparts. I mean, there's always going to be some trend about which girl wore it best, and we have these things that are damaging the self-esteem of our girls.
According to the panelists, in order to help a girl child or address problems facing girls, support must be given to their parents or guardians.
To deal with the child, then we also have to deal with the parent, because the child is acting the way they're doing because of a particular challenge that they're experiencing. So you also have to deal with the parent in terms of the child development, and that is why we run a parenting program generally for parents across St. Vincent and the Grenadines that are referred to us either by the court or from the different ministries with the children, because you do not see the child without the parent, in absence of the parent. Sometimes they're afraid to speak and you give them that space. But in order to address the challenge of the child, you have to deal with the parent. You can't just drop them there. You have to deal with the parent. How is the parent contributing? Are they identifying that the child has an issue? And how are they coping with it? So you help them to develop the coping skills. We have people referred to us, as I said, by the judiciary, all the courts, family, serious offenses, magistrates, and high court. And we have those that are referred by NGO and private sector, as well as those from the government agencies. Some of them also walking.
You would also get referrals too even from the schools, through the education system, even from the health, from clinics, hospitals, because sometimes you may have, for example, a child who is abused and they go to the hospital or the clinic for medical attention. You would have a doctor or somebody calling to say, well, okay, this child needs help and this parent is coming. So at that point, you would get to interface with the parent to find out what really is happening at home and try to understand and, get them that help there.
A Dasheen post-harvest handling training session was held here recently at the Community of Caribbean and Latin American Countries Food and Nutrition Security Center at Stony Grounds in Kingstown. The training, funded by the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, was designed to assist exporters and farmers to improve their post-harvest handling practices. The activity shed light on a range of issues, including common causes of post-harvest losses, along with techniques and strategies to reduce those losses. Additionally, best practices in commercial storage, management of environmental factors, delivery, handling, and sanitization of the root crop were also presented to the participants. Samuel De Costa, agronomist and trainer from the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, expressed satisfaction with the training session and the receptiveness of the participants. De Costa said the training is vital and indicated that similar initiatives are in the pipeline.
Today I found the session to be very good. A lot of questions were asked, people were involved, which is also a good sign. You can see the interest is there to deal with the problem of rhythm being banned and finding an alternative. So I think it was a very good session. The farmers were the exporters, were very much involved. They asked a lot of questions. They seemed very interested. They realized it ended up not being more of a discussion for more than half of the session, which I thought augured well, because everybody really interested in getting a solution to uridinal being banned as a fungicide for post-harvest. I would hope we could organize, because the training is definitely needed from not only from the exporters, but throughout going towards the farmers, because it's a whole chain. It's a whole chain, right? And what one does affects the other. So I think there is a need have a couple more sessions.
The expansion of markets for dasheen is said to be a welcome development in the agricultural sector here as the regional and global demand for the root crop continues to surge, thus providing more opportunities for farmers and exporters. Production Development Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, Rohan McDonald, said since the arrival of breadfruit in 1793, it has been regarded in different ways, including being identified as a poor man's food. However, he said the breadfruit has its value in today's society. McDonald was at the time delivering remarks at the Breadfruit Festival yesterday at the Dunbarton Agricultural Station.
In fact, when most of us were young, breadfruit was something looked down upon. However, in the very recent past, breadfruit is regarded as a superfood. It is good to know that breadfruit contains carbohydrates, fats, protein, fiber, vitamins, and other minerals. It is estimated that there are about 5,000 breadfruit trees in St. Vincent, and each bearing about 150 fruits per cycle. Which means if we estimate each breadfruit to be a pound, and that's a conservative estimate, that's about 750,000 pounds of breadfruit, of mineral, of nutrition, and of food security. It means that breadfruit is very important in ensuring our food security, making sure that food is available for our citizens.
Noting that recent conversation surrounding climate change has put into focus the issue of food and nutrition security, McDonald highlighted the importance of water to humans and plants.
The exhibition on the other side is a demonstration of different ways in which we can use or utilize breadfruit to provide both food for humans and animals. I trust that we will take the time to go and see these exhibits and appreciate the different ways how the persons with knowledge have utilized them to accomplish this goal. Around 60 to 70% of your body is water. Water is used in every cell of your body. Water travels throughout your body, carrying nutrients, oxygen, and waste to and from your cells and organs. Water keeps your body cool, especially in these hot temperatures we experience nowadays. Water also cushions your joints and protects your tissues and organs from shock. Plants are about 80 to 95% water. Water is necessary for plants to grow. Plants need water to carry out very important functions such as photosynthesis, for cooling, and to transport minerals and nutrients from the soil to other parts of the plant.
Breadfruit Festival coincides with activities for World Food Day, which will be observed here on Monday, October 16, 2023. In other local news now, we heard that the Beauty Shows Committee of the Carnival Development Corporation, the CDC, which is responsible for the hosting of the Miss SVG pageant, on Wednesday afternoon issued a statement regarding a number of issues surrounding this year's pageant, which has been making their rounds on social media and in other quarters. Noting that it prides itself in promoting excellence, the Beauty Shows Committee, in its statement, encouraged all contestants in the pageant to exemplify excellence. With public discourse surrounding the interview segment of the pageant this year, following comments made on social media reportedly by some of the contestants, the Beauty Shows Committee noted that as part of the preparation process for the interview segment every year, contestants are exposed to topics touching and concerning contemporary issues, and these topics are practiced using numerous versions of questions on the respective topics. The Beauty Shows Committee said in the interest of learning from practice sessions, the contestants are encouraged to record in writing or otherwise, while pointers are given on their varying responses, and this process was maintained for this year's pageant. The committee said in no way contestants are apprised of what the final questions would be. The committee statement said contestants should always maintain a respectful environment and safe space for each other privately and publicly, and deemed the recent actions and allegations unacceptable, which it said do not reflect or uphold the values that are instilled. According to the committee, it will thoroughly review these comments with the contestants to resolve any outstanding issues. The committee also clarified that the second runner-up position in this year's pageant is Diana Fairbairn, Miss Play4, and not Diana Fairbairn, Miss National Lotteries Authority, as confirmed by the audited score sheet. The RSVG Police Force Traffic Department continues to take steps to crack down on the reckless driving on the nation's roads, and Sergeant of Police Wendell Carden said while there is legislation in place for road users, improvements ought to be made to the legislation in terms of the age of omnibus drivers. Carden was a panelist on SVG-TV's Viewpoint program last Sunday discussing the Vinci van culture.
We have to look at that age. Age 21, we have to look at increasing that age to a more mature age, because that's a person who just come out of secondary school, maybe just finishing college, and all they know, all they could remember is Papa taking them to school, and they already have the concept of Papa, someone a van in the Calico district speeding, music. That's the culture. And they will go into the same van and they will start driving with the same concept in their mind. They haven't looked at Joey, for instance, and I must applaud Joey.
They don't know Joey.
For the years of service that he gave to this country. I know years when I went to Boys Grammar School. Joey was responsible for taking us from sports events and cricket, etc. You know, and I know the only noise you could have heard in Joey van was our chair, because we won again. You know, Joey wasn't playing any loud music or any derogatory music for us to listen when we go to an event.
Sergeant Carden said the routing of omnibuses must also be addressed to allow for a proper run transportation system.
You route a van that goes to Calico, so your route will be from Calico to the bus terminal. You cannot come off of that route. What we are seeing now on the evenings especially, vans will leave Kingston and go to Georgetown. A Calico van leave Kingston going to Georgetown with excess passengers. Reason being is because the vans now in the Georgetown area will not come back to town, because they are aware that Joey will pick up his clients and take them home. We are saying that if you route these vans, it will lessen the competition. Also, the system, I went to Barbados and I saw in Barbados where you come to the bus terminal, you line up and you wait. The very first one to the front fulls and he leaves.
Yes.
And I think that system also can work in St. Vincent and Grenadines. You go to the bus terminal, the very first one full, you leave and then you wait your turn.
And we hear that there has been an increase in the use of illegal firearms in the commission of crimes, including murders and robberies, and persons should be able to face stiff penalties for their actions. This is according to Sergeant of Police Dwight Lewis, who is attached to the Legal Research and Policies Unit of the RSVG Police Force. On the Capture program on WeFM today, Sergeant Lewis also highlighted the issue of tinting on motor vehicles, which Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has already indicated that regulations will be coming to deal with.
I think that there is a need for harsher punishment for illegal firearms. When you look at certain vehicles, right, this is from my own experience. So I am walking, and a vehicle pulls up behind of me, and it is so dark that I cannot see inside of the vehicle. I cannot see who is driving. I cannot see the passengers. I do not know what they have. And it's not until they roll on they carry on the windows, that's when you start to see who are the occupants of the vehicle. Another experience, minivans. I don't want this topic to be about minivans, but minivans. So they are licensed to carry 18 passengers or whatever you have, right? Then you have some minivans, because it is so dark. You have persons sitting on top of persons. You have persons standing along with the conductor. And you don't know how many persons are in the vehicle. Now, if there was an accident and that vehicle, that minivan happens to, lose control, turn over, and persons were injured, and it is found that the minivan was carrying overcapacity.
Sergeant Lewis said dark tint on motor vehicles is a security challenge for law enforcement officers.
Police officers stopping and searching vehicles, that's another issue. Police officers, some of them are not armed, and they approach a vehicle that is heavily tinted. They don't know what to expect. You don't know who the occupants are, if the occupants are wanted fugitives, if they're armed, if they have dogs, pit bulls that can be let loose on them. We don't know. So for the tint, I believe that officers should be able to see inside of the vehicle without guessing as to who the driver is, who the occupants are, or how many occupants are in the vehicle. So you may have the Prime Minister for starters. You may have the Governor General. You may have, you would have police service vehicles would be tinted. CID patrol vehicles will be tinted. Ambulance will be tinted. You may have persons on ambassadorial missions. Those vehicles may be tinted. We may have certain skin conditions that are being affected by the sun, constant exposure to the sun. They may be exempted. So, although you have this legislation stating that tint all vehicles must be tinted.
And the police here have arrested and charged Macy Kamabaj, a 25-year-old baker of Cane Hall, with the offense of grievous bodily harm. The police say investigations revealed that the accused allegedly inflicted grievous bodily harm on a 50-year-old shopkeeper of Upper Cane Hall by chopping him on the left side of his head and on his left hand with a cutlass at Hammersville on Saturday, October 7th at about 12:15 p.m. On Wednesday, October 11, 2023, Kamabaj appeared at the Calico Magistrate Court and pleaded guilty to the charge. He was fined 1,500 EC dollars, of which $500 was to be paid immediately or 6 months imprisonment. The balance is to be paid in 2 months or 6 months in prison. The defendant was also ordered to pay 1,000 EC dollars in compensation to the complainant in 4 months or 8 months imprisonment. In another matter, Avis Prince, the 66-year-old chef of Chumuka, was arrested and charged with the offense of wounding. Prince is accused of unlawfully and maliciously wounding a 69-year-old laborer of the same address by chopping him on the right side of his back with a cutlass at Chumuka at about 9:20 p.m. on July 26, 2023. The defendant is expected to appear before the Kingston Magistrate Court to answer the charge.